I'm Kraig Rasmussen on
I'm
the
like,
other side. Yep, Mike Dubisch. Uh, and we've created a new Patreon, and we'd like to talk about it. So, Mike, a couple months ago, I guess 4 or 5 months ago, you sprung something on me that you were working on in secret, and it was kind of a revolutionary new way to use your comic skills and your in between time, your downtime, and your warm up time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
sure. Yeah, it started with these, what I call doodle comics, where I would just kind of try and break out of the normal routine by doing sort of spontaneous, usually pretty small uh, comics in a sketchbook or journal. Um, Generally with maybe a little bit of a different standard for the finish, a little bit more relaxed and experimental. Um, and I was hand lettering these too. Um, and what was neat was that I started to take that idea and apply it to uh, some, basically just sketches and thumbnails and other ephemera that was just floating around, not being used for anything. Old thumbnails, half done comic pages, uh, you know, stupid, silly little half done ideas and some really refined stuff.
And if I may, many things that you were literally looking at me going, I don't know, man, I'm kind of buried in this shit. What do I do with all this just extra art that doesn't
Yeah,
have a place, you know? And I was like, totally. I got this big fucking stupid pile of unfinished stuff over here too, you know?
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, and some of it had, there was hidden gems in there, really really polished little thumbnails,
Hmm.
or uh uh you know things that suggested really interesting story ideas that were otherwise wouldn't have thought of. And then very often, since we were trying to refurbish and reuse what was there, uh, sketches, thumbnails that were not particularly related would end up being incorporated into one story. So stories
Hmm.
would take interesting turns that they
Very strange turns, yeah.
wouldn't otherwise.
Well, and speaking of turns that things are taking, you kind of buried the lead there a little bit by saying we, because of course we have a Patreon because I copied you in this pursuit. But it's only because you showed me that book that you got as a gift for Christmas. You're like, I got about 50 pages or something of these drawn right now. By the time you did 30, I was like, fuck, I think I'm gonna have to try to start messing around with doodle comics. And I did, and they were in Sharpie and they were really informal. And I was like, definitely getting the bug, but I'm also not falling all the way in because I was using too informal of a tool. It still came up with great stuff to the point that I was like, I think I'm gonna have to try this for real. You know? And then pretty quickly, I started to do the same thing that you were talking about with what we're calling reclamation comics, along with the doodle comics, because there's just so many things that were left over from different things. And one of our favorites is that we have both done perspective lessons for students, and we have example sketches with horizon lines and vanishing points and grids kind of like partially laid out or completely laid out, but even with like including buildings and sort of a basic composition. And you look at that with this whole, underground comics experimental mind, and you're like, hello, you know.
Yeah, now I can be. I've already done all the hard part
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Now I can just have a little fun with
If I may, you mean I don't have to think about this? So,
it. And so, yeah, it kind of it just, the refurbished comics ended up being such the reclamation comics, where we're refurbishing this just otherwise abandoned art
yeah,
into something fresh and new, um, was just really the turning point for the project. So that
cool.
instead of doing, you know, the doodle comics, which, yeah, indeed, we're had this sort of reinventing the wheel kind of thing to it, where I'm like slowly being like, well, I guess I could pencil it out a little bit, before
Exactly.
applying the pen, and the doodle comics started to have more structure to it. At the same time, these refurbishing these other pages into Reclamation Comics was putting everything into actually like a full size realm
Mhm.
for the artwork. So, but I was suddenly actually with both forms, I was suddenly much more likely to do many panels on a page instead of uh, what I usually favored as an illustrator, which is often big, just
Mhm.
bigger pages. So I have bigger panels, so I have room to breathe. The fewer,
What's
the
funny
fewer
is
panels, the better.
the opposite is apparently true for me on this score because I seem to be doing a more reasonable amount of panels and trying to do a little bit less insert shots and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. I want to give an example here without giving away too much art for the pages that are going to come with the first actual story launch this starting this Monday, 2 days after this. But I have the perfect example of a reclamation comic with perspective lesson. So here's the back side with some perspective lesson stuff on it. So anybody who's looking at this will see that I was describing, how a single like 1 point vanishing point works versus, 2 point or 1 point off to the side, and how do you do a sidewalk, how a bench looks, like what the overall basic shape of a bench is, and like learning how to kind of put that into perspective for my awesome coaching client slash student Taylor, who's going to be putting some cool comics out, I believe. More to come on that score pretty soon. Anyway, so on the other side, I had the exact opposite thing happening where I'm going to try to give two panels away here. Okay. So one is it starts with I had somebody walking down some stairs. Okay. And it was very vague, but I was just trying to talk about how stairs worked in perspective. And then I also had like walking down a street in perspective right next to it, just like the two completely unrelated examples that I showed you on the other side. And it turned into such a, we'll say, murderously bizarre page of comics that I'm really proud of.
That's
And yeah,
fantastic.
so like we're discussing this every single day, listener slash viewer, but it's this thing that this endless well of surprising ourselves. And speaking for myself, as far as the purpose that this serves in comics, especially because I know I have people out there waiting for a long overdue crowdfunded book, one of the things I've always needed to do is find a better way to warm up as an artist and a more productive way to warm up so that nothing I was doing for warm ups was going to just disappear into a sketchbook for perpetuity. And then, maybe I'll sell the sketchbook in my doting years, you know, to pay for medical care or something like that. But now, I'm really finding myself warming up with these things and ending up with like a blistering pace every single day, and it is helping me get work done so much faster. And on the score of balancing, the freelance that I've been, really lucky to get recently with my self-publishing and the family caretaking situation and trying to get my crowdfunded book done, it's all suddenly starting to fuse together into this thing that makes sense through mental. And that was one of the reasons that not only was I copying you out of sheer envy, like artistic envy for the straight up imagination that you're playing with, but also I was like, oh my God, you mean this is actually going to help? Like from the outside, it seems like a complete distraction. Like
Yeah.
I already gotta be honest. I'm totally afraid that I'm announcing this to like at least 50 people who are like, "What the fuck, dude? Like some other new project, and we're over here waiting for this big book that you promised us." But it's like the more we chip away at these things, the faster and more limber the creativity seems to be going. And I think for the sake of everything moving forward, this can only be the best fuel on the fire. So I'm just super excited about this. And I think people are going to be pretty impressed. I don't know. I don't want to pat us on the back too much. But one of the cool things about collaborative projects is I can look at your stuff and be like, he's fucking killing it. And I'm just trying to keep up. And like, you guys should be really excited about what Doob is doing because this stuff's nuts. And like, so I can kind of like put myself a little bit out of the center scope and like really sell this thing the same way that you do when you're selling somebody else's art. Anyway,
Right. And yours are the same. Where as soon as I saw him, I'm like, hey, What is he trying to outdo me here? He's got,
Yes.
it's all slick. It's all slick and like looks like total portfolio pieces. And I'm all like, hey, wait a minute. These are my sketchbook comics. I also have some interesting examples of the project in progress that kind of speak to the process a little bit. I had a ton of thumbnails for this one painting professional illustration that I had done a few years ago, and ended up being, something like this.
Pull back a little. There you go. Yeah. Right. So you have a thumbnail of the composition for the painting.
Yeah. And this is another piece that I'm working on where the inks are a little bit more along. But
I see.
Other panels from the same project.
Oh my God.
Arrangements of characters. But
dude,
this one,
that's a lot like my sorcerer story. Not only is it's a medieval tale with a monster, it's a reclamation comic that turned from like this one informal thing to multiple pages of a related thing. It's killer. I can't wait. That's my favorite story that I think I've come up with so far. It's 4 pages. I'm stoked.
This particular one has just turned this one like batch of sketchbook pages that were for this one painting has just turned into a mine of different individual illustrations and comic pages.
Mm-hmm. And like every time you turn around, you're like, ha! Like I told you today, there's a page that I'm posting this week that I'm super proud of, and it is so dark. And I realized today that I have the light side counterpoint to it that I can't wait to put together now, because I've been waiting to figure out what to do with this stupid drawing for, I don't know, 4 years, probably since the pandemic, when I thought I had time to do this particular type of thing. No spoilers, I'm not going to say what it is. But like I said, the thing I'm going to put up this week is sort of on the evil side, and the thing I'm going to put up in the future that's related is on the opposite. And it's like, I don't know, like you're saying, it's endless. It's just, I can't get over it. And, I know we have other places to talk about all this stuff. I don't want to burn everything that there is to talk about, but it's pretty clear that we have a lot of enthusiasm about this project.
And we've got a lot of material done already.
Dude, dudes and dudesettes and everybody in between, it is crazy how much stuff we have put together for this.
So, and so anyway, and this is, if you're going to be at San Diego Con, Kraig's going to have our first publication, our Ashcan Mental Comics issue 0 in the flesh, almost literally. And
well, on me right now.
and at some point soon after, available for order, and we are on the job for issue 1, and it's gonna be fun.
Okay, you know what? That's a perfect segue, because we haven't really told the details of how we're going to run everything. So here's the score on how Mental Sequential is going to work. We're calling it Mental the Magazine, or Mental the Comic, if you will. But it's Mental Sequential on Patreon, because we're not just going to be putting up sequential art. We're actually going to be talking about how the sequential art form works, and also perhaps offering, some advice, some very interesting takeaways, I guess I could say. We're brewing a few things to talk about the behind-the-scenes process of making your own specific comics that are, from the core of your identity and hopefully your id, your soul, your dark, dark soul. So how it's going to work is Mike's drawing, and I'm jealous. So how it's going to work is, here we go. All right, here's the pitch. Right now, if you go to Mental Sequential, upon seeing this video, you will find our covers for the Ashcan / issue 0 / the launch of the Patreon. Okay, so they're both full color covers. And for the first 2 weeks, we're both going to drop 5 pages each of black and white mostly single page stories. I think we're both doing all single page stories for the first 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, right? Um, Occasionally, there will probably be pages that are longer than a single page, but you will find that there is a lot to be had with single page stories from a variety of genres about pretty much anything and everything you can possibly imagine or that we can possibly imagine. So for the first 2 weeks, you'll have 10 pages each. That's 20 pages total. And then every week from then on out, we're each going to put up 2 pages a week, which is 4 pages each, or four pages total per week. So it's a pretty good chunk of comics every month, coming in around 20 pages, 16 pages, 16 pages. And, but that's just the baseline of what we're going to offer. We are always feeling pretty open in discussion about adding more artwork when artwork is available to share, if it's single panels, if it's illustrations or whatever. And then we're definitely going to be doing some kinds of videos and things like that. So we have a lot of stuff in store. I don't want to get too much in the weeds on that, but the main offer here is that you're going to be reading a book as we're building it. And like Mike said, we're hard at work on the publication itself. And the first book is going to be 100 pages. So when we reach 100 pages on the Patreon, that's when we're going to print the book. So as we've stated, there's 20 pages pretty much right out of the gate in the first 2 weeks, and 16 pages every single month from there on out, if not more. So we'll pretty quickly be arriving at the printed material. I don't know. I got to do some math. I think we both agreed it's too soon for LA Comic Con, but it might actually end up lining up with LA Comic Con, especially if who knows, we may decide to do some kind of a push where we just put up a couple extra pages just to get us over the wire or something. So you can basically expect to see a publication this fall of 100 pages of, underground comics, experimental insanity from the two of us. And then I guess we'll be presenting that at LA Comic Con, hopefully, or after. But I don't know, a lot of other stuff as well. There's going to be another tier beyond the original $5 tier that we have right now, where we're going to actually put up maybe like single chapters of complete stories, first looks of things. We haven't exactly decided all of the frills on that tier, but a lot is going to be
A
on it.
complete doodle book, that kind of thing,
What do you mean?
like from the beginning, like
Your doodle book?
my doodle book
Okay, yeah. Okay, got it.
from the
Well, and
base.
to that point, like maybe some of my even either crunchier or my more, I have my own stories I've been working on for web comics and stuff, will be the thing that I put up there. But I think we'll make that definitely worth it. And yeah, I think we've pretty much said our piece. I don't know. Is there anything that we forgot?
Eventual full color.
Oh yeah, duh. Sorry. The
Yep.
Patreon will be black and white pages, but when you get the full 100 page book, everything will be in full color. Um, Lots of coloring going to be going on between us. We'll talk more about that in another video pretty soon. Uh, yeah, thanks guys for listening. We rambled a little bit. It's the first time we've talked about this publicly, so we'll sharpen our pitch.
Thanks for listening, and the again the link will be in the bio.
The link will be in the bio, and both of us have posted the QR code in our feed today as of the posting of this video. So good point about the link in the bio. I haven't done that yet myself, so I guess we better get on that. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you on other platforms and other videos soon. Bye.
Cheers.